topic of rumors in gaming has always interested me a lot because it's a phenomenon that we'll never see again. These days, the internet is a staple of almost every household. We got kids with personal tablets and personal laptops and computers, and people even got the internet on their fridge. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if a smart toilet released next year with Skyrim the Anniversary Edition pre-installed on it.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
But that aside, if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s, it was either uncommon or extremely rare to have even just one personal computer in your house that had internet access. So the only way we could talk about video games with other people was like at school or with your friends or with your siblings, people who had played those same games as you. That was like the only way you could talk about a specific game. And then occasionally we got access to some early forums.
But this era from around the 80s to the late 90s, even early 2000s, was especially unique in gaming history, especially because it was a time where the internet was not as common and it was not as household. So these rumors would spread around certain games and how to unlock certain things in specific games. Rumors surrounding unlocking cheats in certain games. People would talk about unlocking certain things in games by doing extremely specific and menial tasks, sometimes nearly impossible tasks. And the only way that we could ever verify if these rumors were true was just to try and do it ourselves, which was sometimes extremely frustrating as a kid. If you grew up between the 80s to the early 2000s with video games, you know what I'm talking about. There was rumors in almost every type of game. Super Mario 64 has a really widespread rumor about being able to play Luigi. There was a rumor in Mario Kart 64 where you could unlock the Thwomp that was in jail and play as him. There was rumors in even later games, like Call of Duty World at War. I remember playing the Zombies mode for the first time. And there was always these rumors floating around about how you could get the ray gun specifically out of the mystery box by timing it properly or by shooting it a certain amount of times. And then, of course, a special boss zombie at the end at round 100. And others saying that if you beat him, then you could get extracted at round 100. Anyways, one rumor that in particular stood out to me was one that I had heard from my brother. At least I'm pretty sure it came from my brother originally. And it was in the game Kirby 64. Now, if you're familiar with Kirby 64, the way to 100% the game is by collecting all the crystal shards that appear. And every level has 3 crystal shards that appear in it, which unlocks a secret boss at the end, 02, and unlocks a secret ending. There was more to it than that, though. After you beat the game 100%, a boss battles mode unlocked. And as a kid, this was really challenging. You had to beat all the bosses with 1 life bar, no continues, and no power-ups. I don't think I ever beat it as a kid. But it wasn't just about being boss battles. There was one more thing you could collect in Kirby 64, the crystal shards. And it was not the crystal shards themselves, but these enemy cards that you can get at the end of each level. If you've ever played the game, you'll know that at the end of each level, there's a little mini game where Kirby's on a picnic blanket and you have to time his jump so that he jumps far enough or close enough to get the item you want. And each time there's always a card with a question mark on it. This card is an enemy card, and once you collect one, it just shows you some enemy info in the main menu screen. And through here, you can scroll through the different enemies you've collected, see their name and their type. On its own, it's kind of cool, but it doesn't contribute towards the 100%ing of the game, so it's not really necessary. But the rumor went that if you collect all the enemy cards and beat the boss battles, then you would unlock Shadow Kirby or Dark Kirby. At least that's how I heard it when I was a kid. Throughout the years, I never questioned this rumor for some reason. I guess because I had heard it from my brothers, I just assumed it was true. And I guess I just forgot about it as the years went on and I stopped playing the game as much. I never even bothered to look it up. But occasionally I would revisit the game and just play it for fun. And sometimes I would even try to get all the enemy cards. in hopes that one day I would unlock that Shadow Kirby or that Dark Kirby. But every time, it was just such a grind to get the enemy cards. Eventually, I employed a strategy of repeating the first level over and over because it's short and easy just to collect the enemy card at the end. But eventually, there's only so many you can collect from repeating the same level until you start getting repeat enemy cards, and then you have to go to other levels. So I just got tired of it and I put the game down again. But this year, I decided that I was finally going to do it. I was going to unlock Shadow Kirby. This was finally the time to complete my childhood. So I grinded for those enemy cards, I got them all, and then was the boss battles, which admittedly is still kind of tough. Mainly when you get to Miracle Matter, because you really have to memorize all of his attack patterns. Once you do that, it's not too bad, but the first few times I lost a lot of lives on Miracle Matter. Even the last boss, 02, is not as difficult as Miracle Matter in my opinion. And fun fact, if you didn't know this, you can actually turn the camera angle in this boss fight, which is an absolute game changer. It made it so much easier to beat this boss. So one day, I finally get all the enemy cards and I finally beat boss battles. And when that happened, I popped off the couch. I was so excited. Finally, my childhood is complete. But then nothing happened. I see a little congratulations and then it just takes me back to the main menu. That was it? That's all I got? This is the point when it all kind of sank in that this rumor was a lie. And this is the point where I decided to actually look it up to see if anyone else had heard this rumor or if it even existed at all. To my surprise, I could not find anything on this subject. It was like nobody on the internet even knew about this rumor. I had to dig pretty deep, and I only found 2 forums that were talking about this. Unless the other ones got archived or deleted or something, I'm not sure. But these were the only 2 forums I found on the internet that were talking about this rumor. And they're both on neoseeker.com. So the first one was posted on June 8, 2004. And this user says, sometimes when I get an enemy card, Kirby gets a sad look on his face, and this weird sound comes out of nowhere. What's that all about? Also, the game won't let me get any more enemy cards. I need about 28 more, and I get them at the picnic place, but when I try to look at them in the options, they don't show up. Help, please. These users respond saying, if he gets sad, it means you already have the card. I was wondering about that. It sort of sucks that you can get doubles, though. This user says, I've gotten all the enemy cards, it's not worth it, dude. They don't do anything except tell you what the enemy names are. And so these replies are pretty basic, they're just talking about the enemy cards and how to get them. But then the next reply is what gets interesting. This comment was made 3 years later, in 2007. And this user says, apparently if you get all the cards you can unlock Shadow Kirby. I'm not sure if it's true though. To which another responds a year later saying, it's not, I got them all, it tells you their name and their power up. Disappointing. This is crazy too, that in 2021 somebody responded to this saying Shadow Kirby wasn't even a thing yet. This is true. This is crazy because when I was looking up Shadow Kirby in Kirby 64, not much came up except for the Shadow Kirby that appears in other Kirby games. So Shadow Kirby first makes his appearance in Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, and then he's had a couple of other appearances since then. As far as the wiki goes, Shadow Kirby has literally never existed before Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. So I don't even know how I heard about this in the first place. And before I read this forum, I thought that maybe my brother just made it up to mess with me. But once I saw this, there was apparently somebody else that had heard the same thing, and I really want to know where it came from. I asked my brother about this recently too, and he remembered the rumor and also never bothered to look into it. He just accepted it for what it was, and he actually believed it as well. So when I told him that I'd collected all the enemy cards and beat the boss battles and nothing happened, he was quite shocked as well. So the other forum on NeoSeeker that I happened to find just straight up goes into talking about this Shadow Kirby, Evil Kirby, Dark Kirby, whatever you want to call him. And this was posted at the tail end of 2005. This user said, Evil Kirby? I read a cheat that said you can unlock Evil Kirby by beating the game with 100%, collect every enemy card, and beating boss mode. Is this true? Now this is exactly what I had heard. So is it a coincidence that this guy heard the exact same rumor that I had heard, that you have to do the exact same steps to unlock Shadow Kirby? And he said he read a cheat saying that, so I really want to know where that is. I searched game FAQs, I searched the oldest game FAQ walkthroughs I could find for Kirby Kirby 64, and there was nothing talking about Shadow Kirby or Dark Kirby or Evil Kirby. So I don't know where this came from. Maybe an old game magazine that went out of print. Who knows, but I couldn't find anything. So then a person replies to this user saying, ooh, my brother did all that and I've never heard of Evil Kirby. I don't think this is true. And Evil Kirby? Weird, but cool. I heard that too. I have all the cards, got 100%, beat Miracle Matter, need to beat 02. There was even mention of Shadow Kirby on the walkthrough. Bro, what? Where does it say that on the walkthrough? I want to know, because I searched all the game FAQ walkthroughs and I could not find anything. Maybe there was a walkthrough on a defunct site that was around back in the day, but it's probably lost to time now. So anyways, that is the rumor of Shadow Kirby from Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards. I've done all the steps in it. If you've heard this rumor and you believed it's true, I'm here to tell you from experience that it is not true. I've done all the steps. Myth busted. If you guys have heard anything else about this rumor, I would love to know down in the comments. Did you hear this rumor as a kid? Where did you hear it from? And did you try this? I'm curious to know. So leave a comment down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it. And subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. See you next time.